Good morning, everyone. 20 days till liftoff. 27th of December, I head off, and I decided that the way I'm going to do the video is I'm going to do it as a we type thing. So rather than you folks or anybody else sort of armchair viewing what I'm doing, I'm going to try really hard to be close enough to the camera, which I may be wearing or one of the porters may be wearing if it has to be the helmet and there are any problems with that. And it's going to be, now we're doing this. So I want you folks to really feel like you're there with me. And we're going into the jungle and we're going to find the gorillas, and we're going to go to various other areas. I'm hoping that I get a chance to visit the women's co-op, and because I suspect that women are a major financial source provider. I asked my safari organizer, I said, I'd like to bring, some little thing from Canada for your children. How many do you have? And she said, and this woman works full time, like round the clock, 7. I thought, okay, that's an old-fashioned family here. And it turns out that 3 of them are her biological children and 4 of them are in her care. So I think that family-wise, when others are at risk or over challenged, they pitch in and they care for the community's children. And so I'm hoping that I get a chance to show people the truth about what life is like. And I know too that they have offered to allow me to go to the hospital and do kind of a visit there and be shown various things. And I am absolutely, it's confirmed, I'm going to be doing an interview, not just with the rangers and the guides and the porters, but I'm going to be doing an interview as part of this video for all of our benefit with the Ugandan Wildlife Federation or Authority. It's a governing body that is in charge of anybody's access to Uganda, especially as it interfaces with the wildlife. So I'm hoping that this turns out to be exciting. I'm hoping that it turns out to be really informative, a little humbling maybe for us as to the things that we...
Deborah Pollack.
Sorry, one sec. Oh, Lord, sorry, people. I forgot to turn that off. One sec. Braden, you have to delete that. All right. The things you don't remember. Also a little humbling about what we actually have that maybe we've lost focus, could be an asset or a support. So one of those supports, I want to do a tiny, very tiny review, just as a reminder, about secure attachment before we head into the chat box. There were, I think, over 50 chats that went unanswered in the last podcast. So I'm hoping that we can deal with some of those as well following this short review, and then I'll open the floor and we can have a discussion and move forward from there. So secure attachment, if you've ever had it, it probably started to imprint as a very young infant. All right. And someone made a comment in the chat that they believed that you could, even if you'd had a secure attachment, that it could be broken. It could be ruined in some way. No, it's still there, but I do believe that it can be overwhelmed by other incidents, other experiences that happen subsequent to it. But does it negate it? No, it's still there to draw on because it is like a tattoo. It is imprinted on your brain, and you didn't need to be cognitively mature. We picked it up at a sensory level. All right. So secure attachment is actually imprinted in us as pre-verbal, pre-cognitively really aware, making sense, logic, at our sense level and our emotional. It triggers the right hemisphere of the brain, which is our emotion center as an infant. All right. And it happens way early in the first months of life. The other thing too is it tends to remain active and available, even though we may not be aware of it. It is sitting there latently for life. All right. These sensations mark the beginning of what we call an attachment bond. The reason why I want us to talk about secure attachment and insecure attachment, and there are other types as well, but we're really going to cover the two primary ones, is because even though some other researchers and scientists and therapists don't believe that it is attachment hoarding behavior or hoarding tendencies, vulnerabilities are attachment related, I do. If you have a relationship with your things, and we all have a relationship with our things, is attachment the only story? No. Is it the only factor? No. But attachment and relationship is the same no matter what you are applying it to. All right. And we are influenced by the ways that we're strengthened, the resources that we don't even know we have, and the ways we're made vulnerable by that attachment, maybe later on in life, if our parents were going through a particularly trying time and couldn't be available or became over challenged and were I mean, this is sort of the polite way to say it, really less available to us in any helpful, healthy way, then that can not undo the secure attachment, but it can overlay another layer we then have to learn to deal with, all right, that then can interfere. And these sensations, so this is the other thing. When you are having a positive response to something, or you're having an insecure, challenging, painful, scary, anxiety-producing reaction to something, I want you to first and foremost stop in the moment. Don't stop that process, but stop in the moment and figure out, where am I feeling this? What are the sensations? All right. What are the sensations that I'm not even paying attention to? The reason I want you to do that is because as I help you to either head something off at the pass, deflect it, get control of it, do something more helpful, productive in the way of reaching your goals, I'm going to be asking you, when that thought popped up or came into your awareness, where did you feel it first? Now, different people feel these stressful, challenging interruptions in different places first. All right. And that's where I'm going to want you to kind of put a sensor in yourself that when you're not feeling your best, where is your starting point? Because we need to get hold of it, aware first, and then get a hold of those sensations that derail us, defeat us, overwhelm us. We need to do that when they are among the little first ones, not when they've gained steam and they've largely taken over. All right. By the time they get to here, or your heart is palpitating, you've got a lot of, and I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but you've got a lot of chemistry working on your brain. Now you've got 2 or 3 or 4 jobs. All right. So start becoming aware. Your homework this week is when a challenging, not positive sensation, idea, whatever comes to mind, just comes into the beginning of your awareness, where do you feel it? What is the sensation? All right. Because the answer to it is attaching. We can learn different techniques, all right, for managing that. I remember, I forget what the term is right now, but I will look up the official term for it. I used to do a lot of Highland dancing competitively. I used to do a lot of, when I started doing workshops and talking in front of thousands of people, it was not one of those kumbaya moments, all right? The lead up to that was, I knew my material, I knew what I was talking about, but it was a new kind of threatening experience. And I learned to do something, just brain drain right now, but I would focus it. Where do I feel strong? Where do I feel strong? And when I felt like I was going to pull myself together, I was going to just stick my oars in the water and start moving forward, for whatever reason, I would always take my wrist like this in my lap, and I would hold on. And I learned in neuro-linguistic programming to actually, it's called anchoring, sorry, to anchor myself there. And then proactively, whenever I faced a challenge that was threatening, or I was feeling a little insecure about, not as focused and strong as I wanted and needed to be, or could be, I would anchor myself. And there's a process that I will teach you later on, and it works. All right, it works. Anchoring yourself to usually a physical response that you're capable of works. So we'll deal with that. We'll learn that a little while later. There are strategies and techniques that do work. So let's get those as part of our arsenal, part of our toolkit. All right. But you always have those sensations. All right. Those pre-verbal sensations of whatever secure attachment, whatever caregiving, whatever appropriate, whatever timely care you did receive. And it's not about the words, the sound of a person's voice, the familiarity of the image of someone's face when they were a consistent, positive caregiver. Those are still available to us. All right. So we imprint on that, and that becomes a path in our brain that is always available. Sometimes we have to go in search of it. And what that path says, to the extent that you received it as an infant, all right, is that you are loved. That is your experience when you had any degree of consistent, doesn't mean every single time, it means enough, all right, attachment, enough care and a sense of safety, and somebody was there. Didn't necessarily have to be your parent. It could have been any consistent person who reliably came. All right. It says you're loved. It also says you're good enough, just as you are. Because as an infant, you couldn't be anything other than who you are. All right. So getting that care, that is the meaning, and also that you matter and that you don't have ultimate worth. It's not like you're worth anything any more than anybody else, but you are worthy. All right. Why? Because it's in that consistent, reliable response that happened often enough in a way that eased your discomfort. That was translated to you at a sensory level. You couldn't even make sense of it. All right. That you mattered, that you were valued. All right. And what that means to an infant is love and worth. All right. So those things, even if, sometimes parents, quite often parents, are better parents at one age than they are at another. So even if your cognitive remembering, your memories later in life are missed the mark by a country mile, which is what many of you have told me, that doesn't necessarily mean, don't negate, don't color the possibility that as an infant, someone gave you enough consistent, reliable, even if it was relief from distress temporarily. All right. As an infant, the sense you make of that, you couldn't put it into words, is you're loved, you matter, and you have enough worth that you imprint. All right. Later on, your parents might have been more challenged. Yeah, from the time you can say no and get your fingers into things that you shouldn't, and you're disobedient and you've got a mind of your own, and at 6 you're coming down by making your own rules, and then by teenagers, you sometimes think about yourself, and certainly your parents do, that this is a scene out of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Who is this person? And then later on, you mature and you have your own ideas, your own values, your own whatever. And there might be a space, a distance that happens. Doesn't mean you didn't get enough. Doesn't mean you did, but it doesn't mean you didn't either. Okay. So don't let one phase of parenting and care necessitate you discarding the possibility that you were loved, you did matter, and you did receive good enough care to relieve your distress. All right. That then is the foundation. Can they be wrong? These powerful, omniscient, omnipotent people in your life, when you are so hugely dependent on them, can they be that wrong? All right, at that age. So one of the other things that happens is that imprint, when it happens, to the extent it does happen, and I believe almost everybody gets some of it, all right, to build on. That then becomes your initial foundation when you access it, when you use it for giving yourself self-worth. All right. So that you don't become just dependent on, I'm only worthy when somebody's smiling at me, when I please them, when they reward me with acceptance or whatever the currency is. All right. No, when you look at yourself, imperfect as you are, all right, you can look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay. I have plenty of challenges. At this point in my life, I've got plenty of things that I don't like about myself. I'm not happy with about myself. But basically, the core of me is okay. And I build from there. Okay. I overcome challenges that draw my focus, my energy, my mood, my sense of joy out. All right. I don't have enough of that. I don't have enough self-approval. But self-approval is not the same thing as self-worth. Self-worth is that fundamentally you know that you are a good person, that you operate most of the time from a positive, good intent. What you achieve might be a function. The interruptions you allow to derail you might be a function of distractibility, or the fact that, frankly, people, you're not getting your needs met. All right. That child, that infant, that you have more brain power now than they did. You have more ability to make sense of things and to be the architect of what you want to accomplish, where you want to be, or simply what you want to unload, not carry anymore. All right. You have more ability right now than they did. And so where did that core go? Do you deliberately set out to hurt people? Do you deliberately set out to win at someone else's expense? All right. Do you go after whatever you want and need with no concern and no reflection when the after effects set in? No. Well, unless you tick the box on all of those, yeah, I frankly don't care. I don't care if I hurt somebody. I don't care what happens to somebody else, what I do to somebody else, or what happens to somebody else, as long as I'm okay. And you know what? I don't worry. If I create a repercussion for myself, somebody else will bail me out, or I won't honor whatever the price is for me. All right. Anybody here live on that side of the street all the time? I see no hands up. And you know what? I wouldn't believe it of most of you. I wouldn't believe it of any of you. And what that means is your core is solid. Is there room for change? Is there room for improvement according to what you want and you need? Well, guess where that starts? That starts with you getting your needs met. What did the baby do when its needs? And the baby wasn't as complicated as you are. What did the baby do? Cried, screamed, cried. Did I mention cried? Did I mention cried? Did I mention cried? Keep you up all night, cried. All right. All right. In what way are you crying? In what way right now? Take that pen out and that paper. In what way right now are you crying because your needs aren't being met? And the extent to which you may be in trouble with clutter or hoarding or whatever level of risk you're living at, that might say how much of your needs aren't being met and how long you haven't been connected to yourself. And the deprivation and the lack is huge. Is there anybody here who really believes, absolutely, not just in your worst moments, that there isn't any point in having needs? Because now you may not know what your needs are because you may not have checked in with yourselves recently enough to ask. Okay, this is a question that I ask myself 25 times a day. Anytime I'm feeling that, you know what, got to do something here. What do I need? Or I'm not feeling quite, my good-natured self. I ask myself, stop. What do you need? What do you need right now? What do you need not just in this moment, but basically, how did you get here? What have you been ignoring, or what have you been discounting as a need? Because the longer you don't pay attention to it, all right, the bigger the fall. We are in need of what we need. And it's our job. It's nobody else's job to give it to you. You were put on this earth. You came into this earth alone, and you will leave it alone. It isn't anybody else's job to know what you need. There are lots of people, myself included, who will help you figure it out if you just don't even know how to plug that plug into the socket. All right. You don't know how to start because it's been so long since you asked yourself. Since there was any point in asking yourself, is what you tell yourself. Okay, now I want you to differentiate. I have a need. What do I need? Maybe I need something big, and maybe I need 6 small steps to get there. What are they? Everybody right now, at this moment, all right, you're giving up time to attend this podcast. Everybody right now, take your pen and paper and write down right now, what do I need? Is it as simple as another coffee? All right. Or is it more difficult with I need a way to stay focused. I need to learn how to stay focused on what the priority in front of me is. I need hope. I need to remind myself that despite the situation that I have created, this is not my worth. This is not evidence of who I am or what I'm worth. This is evidence of what I have allowed to happen because I wasn't paying attention to what I really needed. And so quite often I get distracted. I convince myself that this other thing, this bright and shiny thing, or I don't feel safe, in life. I've never felt safe in life. And so when I feel a need for something, there isn't enough of it. So if I feel that I need, what's a good example? Somebody give me a good example in the chat box that's actually, okay. What would be a thing that you would use to substitute for what you really need? Because you can't get there. Let me see. Netflix. Okay, yes. Alcohol, yes. Physical touch, yes. To buy something. Now, let's stop at buy something. Colleen, let's stop at buy something and tell me what in fact, unmute just for a second.
I'm here.
Okay, Colleen, I want you just to go through the mental process as you verbalize it to yourself. You're not feeling something that you need, or it could be the other side of the coin too. You're feeling something you don't want, you don't need, and you need something to balance yourself. That's what a distraction is. All right, it balances you. You think. Rarely is it the right thing though. So, well, and you know that because you wouldn't need so much of it, right? You wouldn't need repeat. There would be enough. Okay, so tell me what that mental process is and how you say it until the point you choose what you choose.
I may have misunderstood what this discussion was about.
Okay.
What usually happens is I'll find myself buying a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
or I realize that I have a need that isn't being met.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You
That's a
understood
signal
perfectly.
to me that,
Okay.
and then my house fills up with shipping boxes and looks horrible, and I can't walk through my living room without stepping over something.
Okay.
And
So you want to do a little
the stuff
exercise?
doesn't fill the need.
Do you want to do a little exercise? Okay. So do you have a particular method that you order shipping boxes? By the way, I think that most people are susceptible to this because you're never without a need somewhere, right? So I have learned that when I close off at the end of the day and I go to sit in front of Prime Video or I'm a CNN junkie, I go to sit, that I never take my cell phone with me.
Oh.
You know why? Because I'm an idea person. And when ideas come to my mind and I feel, I could overcome that. And I get on. So it started over COVID, and there started to be every day another package would arrive at the door. And I thought, yeah, no, this isn't right. And so I learned, I make myself, sometimes I bring it with me accidentally. I think, no, 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 no. You'll be solving problems with Amazon. All right. No, 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 no. You have to walk the talk. And I'd go and I'd put the cell phone back in the office. Sometimes you can, so what strategy, what device would you use to do your ordering?
Oh, well, I visit Shop Goodwill,
Okay.
and I'm just coming to the realization of that this is what I'm doing.
Okay.
I can look through a whole range of things, and they're all at a very low price.
Mhm.
So well, I need one of those, or I'd like one of those. I've started collecting something, and then I need to stop because I'm running out of space. But
Yeah.
um, then the next step is it's an auction. So you have to watch for it and set your clock to be there before the auction closes. So it's
It's like a competition.
you discover something you want, it's an rock bottom price, and then you've got something to do and something to focus on in order to obtain it.
Okay. Do
And I
you
think
really?
it's that combination of
Yeah.
of I think it's an alternative to interacting with people.
All right. Um, Before COVID, how did you shop?
I hated shopping.
Okay. So was there an accumulation problem before COVID?
Yes,
How did you acquire then?
I just didn't throw anything away.
Okay.
I didn't take the time to, I didn't make or take the time to deal with anything unless it was urgent.
All right. Were there any big issues going on? You don't have to say what it was. Were there any big issues going on in your life that just completely preempted your mind?
Yes,
All right. And your energy.
yes.
Okay. This is not a setup question, I promise you, but this is a fundamental question for each and every one of us, whether we hoard or we don't hoard. All right. Did any of the things that you acquired, however you acquired them, solve that big issue that was preempting your mind and your energy?
No, it was completely unrelated.
This is what I say in Conquer the Clutter. Okay. I give a metaphor of a person at sea in a boat alone. All right. And of course, at sea, you're completely surrounded by millions of gallons of water, right? But you don't have enough fresh water. And the irony is, this feels like and resembles like it might be a substitute in the moment, just like the temptation for whatever we get keyed to or cued to. All right. It feels the same. You can put your fingers through it. You can splash it on yourself. It makes the same noise when it swashes, right? But if you use that for the purpose that you need to meet your need, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to make yourself really, 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 really sick first, right? And it will be one way or another the end of you. Whether it costs you your life or not, it will take over your life. All right. Now, seawater versus fresh water is going to have a permanent negative effect on your life, no life sooner or later, right? And so that's what acquiring, it doesn't have to be buying. It could be that you were getting things for free. It could be that every time you go to church or you go to a club or you go to visit friends, somebody has something and they offer it for free. All right. Every time you don't meet your need and you don't put the time and energy that it would take to figure out right now, what do I need? And where? Never mind all this, because those strategies that you're detailing, Colleen, those are classic marketing strategies. All right. Creating that time's running out, numbers are running out. You know, I was trying to buy last night, just to show you, I was trying to buy a tie online. I hate the effort of going out and, you know, looking at a million things. I really don't have the patience. And so I want to give some gifts to the safari organizers. They've been wonderful. And Charles is one of them. And so I thought to myself, oh gosh, you didn't get Charles anything. What are you going to get Charles? You got everybody else Man United scarves. Okay, because they're soccer crazy. What are you going to get Charles? And so I thought, what would you get a man? I don't even know Charles. What am I going to do? I thought, well, sooner or later, Charles is man, chances are sometime he's going to wear a tie. Maybe, particularly if he's in business. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cute to get a gorilla tie? All right. So I made myself get up from where I was, you know, maxing out on CNN, and I had to go to the phone and I sat down. I think, okay, this is business. And so I did a search and I found a gorilla tie. But I found a lot of other ties as well. All right. If I had gotten and then of course other things, they have this algorithm, right, that they know that you might always buy your toilet paper on them, or you might do whatever, and so then they're going to whip you through, oh, what about this, what about this, what about this? So those marketing strategies, as I'm watching the ties, it says only 3 left and 2 other people are looking at it right now. And I thought, no, I'm Irish. That's my excuse. Okay. So I looked at it and I thought, you must think I'm crazy. Like, you must seriously, I talk back to things. You must seriously think I'm crazy if I'm going to bite for that. Because you cannot be the only producer of gorilla ties. Somebody else somewhere who might have 10 left, all right, and not try to bait me. So I went looking elsewhere and I ended up getting a gorilla tie that was pretty darn much like their tie. And nobody was trying to strong arm me or make me feel insecure. Like you're going to win a competition, because there's two ways there, right? You can respond to, how many people respond to that kind of pressure out of fear? Oh, I'm going to lose it. How many people? Hands up. There's another way to respond to it, and it still isn't healthy. It's no better. And that is, I'm going to win the competition. I'm going to be the one that does get it. I'm going to win. Do you know how many times you can be suckered into something by being made to believe that you won something? And you know what? When you feel that pressure, and a lot of the chat messages last week were around fear, were around sadness, were around filling, were around being distracted. So where do you go? Where do you go when you either get distracted or you need distraction from something that you're not happy with today? Where do you go? Anybody? Everybody want to unmute and just yell in? We'll use the next 10 minutes just yelling in and problem solve this, only so that you're aware of it. Who wants to unmute and yell in where they go?
Movie.
A movie. What does the movie give you?
Escape.
Emotional.
Mhm.
Emotional, as in you're looking for
Release.
relief.
Release.
Okay.
Release and triggers of buried stuff.
All right. And so that movie can do one of two things. What about relief? Okay, Jean. It can either be a movie that gives you what you're longing for, so that in kind of a way you almost become a character in the movie. Books do that too. All right. I'm not saying anything against books, and I'm not saying anything about movies. I'm just saying be aware. Be aware. If you want to heighten your experience for love, acceptance, social contact, particularly during COVID and the after effects, who knew we were going to have another round? Or it can be to escape something that emotionally you're feeling, and you go to the other extreme, right? Is it an escape, or is it where you get the sensation you would get that you long for? Anybody?
I often head
Criminal
to my
trials.
sewing machine.
Shauna, I missed that.
Sorry, I often head to my sewing machine.
Okay.
And sewing has always been really good therapy for me. So I always have a constant mending pile with my things and my kids and grandkids. And also I like doing, charity sewing, crafty stuff, whatever. So if I'm having a really bad time and need to feel better, I'll work on a small project and finish it.
Sounds like that's almost like a harbor for you.
Yes. Yeah. A safe
Yeah.
haven.
That's not
The same thing.
Not quite the same thing. That is a positive. You go for relief. Some people work out, some people write, some people read, some people
Okay.
listen to music, some people. So it's a place you go to harbor from the winds. All right. But what I'm talking about is, so you're being blown all over the place, and you use what to, like, emotionally you're being blown all over the place.
Oh.
You use what
Okay.
to hide from it.
Yeah, then I end up on the sofa with my fuzzy blankets and a cup of tea or coffee or hot chocolate, watching Netflix, Prime, whatever.
When you do that, what each of you, wherever you go, has it ever occurred to you to in whatever way you can do it with a kitchen clock, to set a timer, so that if you need an hour, if you need two, and your safety corridor is secure. Did I mention, and your safety corridor is secure? That you don't just lose yourself in it. It doesn't become a distraction. It becomes, you're using it as relief, as a harbor, but it doesn't deprive you of focus. TV can do that, all right? Being online shopping can do that. And the problem with the online shopping, if you don't have a way to bring yourself back to now frequently enough, is you're getting a lot of dopamine and serotonin hits to your brain. It could be hours later before you come to. You need, if you're going to take that kind of you just feel it, you're going to take a less than ideal solution, respite, set a timer. All right, set a timer, keep it with you. Say, so that whatever you're doing, you're meeting your intent. You make a deal with yourself. I'm going to go and I can do that with CNN. All right. But after an hour or two, it's got to stop, because there are other things that I need to do in the day, but also CNN can't become your whole life and you could sit there the whole day. Well, I could.
Depressing,
Well, you know,
a lot of it.
yeah. Yeah. So, I haven't found the channel yet that has the good news channel, but it's great when you can, participate by talking back to the commentators. That's my form of entertainment with TV usually. So let me have a look at, I have here, where do we go? We are there. Just gonna reduce you a tiny bit and bring this up. All right, there we go now. Okay, so let me run through. We've got about 5 minutes officially, but we'll run over a little bit. Okay, so I won't say who said, unfortunately, not having a secure attachment or having had it can lead to issues in the tissues. That is so true. How did you nurture? Now, it could be your own children if you have them. It could be your cat. It could be your dog. It could be your rabbit. It could be anything that you have a positive exchange of relationship with. It could be your birds. It could be the birds outside. It could be your garden. Anything that you have you use for, or that you have the benefit of a positive exchange of emotion and relationship. All right. How did you learn to take care? Is there any way that how you care for those things in your life, no matter, whether it's children or pets, they're all family. All right. No one is better or different, really, as far as relationship. The thing I love about my dogs is they almost always agree with me, which on a bad day can be really, really helpful. And they're happy when I come home. Nobody gives me a job list. So that's great. Those relationships. Is there any part of those relationships that you have, or even your relationship with your best friend, if you have one, whoever or whatever you're close to, is there any part of that in any way feels like, or has a slight reminder of the times when in your life you were cared for? Have you noticed any similarities? Anybody? Where did you learn to care for these important relationships? How did you know what to do and what not to do? Anybody? Do you want to unmute? Anybody who wants to jump in?
Trial
Elaine,
and
I'll
error.
jump.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, San. Mhm.
I was going to say, I just recently got back from a trip visiting my family in the States that I haven't since seen pre-COVID. Something happened that I never saw in myself. And it was a big puzzle piece that fell in. I've always had an adult issue with obesity. Recently even had bariatric surgery. And I find now the sweet time as far as the weight coming off easily has eased, and I'm finding it's the winter months, it's quieter again. I have a relationship with food that rears its ugly head after months of cleansing habits of how to retrain the brain. But when I was on the visit with my family, what was really disturbing and insightful is I wanted to show my appreciation to my family for being there and for my love for them. And I said, you know, while I'm here, I'd love to give you guys a break from the kitchen. Let me make you a really good soup. And my brother just starts laughing and he says, do you have any idea how much you just sounded like our deceased mom right now? The exact words, even the motions of your hands, you were like mom transposed. And that was a light bulb moment that obviously I'm not pointing my finger, you know, she's to blame, but that is the source that I equate love and value, and the ability to express my love is obviously a learned behavior. So
I find that that's true with a lot of traditional cultures. We're Irish. Maybe you haven't heard often enough. And I know that at Christmas or Thanksgiving, everybody, my aunt who didn't have any children, always wanted everybody, we're talking the whole tribe, to come, all right, for whatever the festivity was. And she would love to cook, all right. And we would eat and it would be like, everything was wonderful, but it was like way too much. But you were obliged because it would offend. And no sooner would you get up from the table, you get a look too. If you said, no, thanks, I've had enough, they'd be like, just humor her. It's only one meal. And you'd get up from the table, everybody, all right, you would go out to sit in the living room or family room or wherever. The guys would be playing cards in the office. And she would come out once the last dish was dried. All right. Now, this is sort of this is a big thing in our family. And she would say, how do you want your sandwiches, hot or cold? And there would be a collective moan. All right. Like, oh. And she wouldn't take the hint. You were having sandwiches. And your choice was, it wasn't a choice, no sandwich. It was a choice, hot or cold. All right. And like you say, there are pieces of that, you know, you inherit your genetics, right? And so it's not like you're getting the long, lean limbed body type. You're getting the one that was going when those genes lined up, and now, you know, you've got to finish. You can't leave anything. You've got to finish. And I find that I have to think about starting because I have to fight the rule in my head to finish, as opposed to being aware when I'm finished. So there are little ways that we get ourselves into corners that aren't comfortable when we're following and we're not aware of what our need is. We're either reacting against somebody else's pressure or need or rule that we had to adopt for inclusion you did not want to be the person who offended my aunt. She was a lovely person, but you know what? She put so much effort. There was a lot of Irish guilt. She put so much effort into it. And it's amazing how those things lurk. You know, what are your lurking messages? What are you susceptible to? All right. What are you susceptible to that explains and leads to, when you look around, the things that you don't want? Or you want the thing, but you don't want the effect. You don't want the bottom line effect. What are they? Everybody right now, if you would, take that paper and pen out so that we come out of this with some learning, some individual insight for ourselves. When you're facing whatever the highest risk factor is for you staying on track,
Mhm.
in your clearer mind, this is the track that
Mhm.
you want for yourself. What would you say is the most frequent message that is whispering
Mhm.
in the back of your mind?
It's okay to have chocolate and fries. Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. Who told you that it was okay to have chocolate and fries?
Family.
Who?
That's family. We all did it.
Okay. Okay. Regardless, I know, regardless of the body type that you inherited, there are certain things that work and don't work depending on your nature.
Hmm.
You know, and that plays out in other areas. Like, so if you inherited a risk factor for some level of depression or some level of anxiety, and then that's what you had modeled for you, so you know that dance step, this is the way to solve, this is where you go. You weren't taught other strategies to
Mhm.
avoid the stress, to avoid the anxiety, to head it off at the pass. All right. Or, you know, maybe it was escape to shopping,
Mhm.
escape through shopping. If you can't have what you want in life, you can make yourself happy with the temptation of the day.
Mhm.
And yes, you're right. There's always chocolate.
Mhm.
There's always chocolate. And you know what? In the all over picture of things, chocolate might actually be better for you than another alternative.
Mhm.
But what is the real need? Because you're not meeting it with chocolate or scotch.
Mhm.
You're just not meeting it. You're settling for a losing proposition.
Mhm.
That is not going to lead you or give you what you need. Right now, can everybody take 2 minutes? I want to see everybody's hand going for the pen. All right. Would you write down right now the thing you are most aware of needing?
Oh.
And can you, if you have your keyboard in front of you, if you're comfortable, send it out to the chat box.
Sorry, the
If-
thing you're most aware of what?
What is the thing that you are most aware of needing right now?
Oh,
Because I'd like to assign homework this week if I could. I hate the term homework, but you know what I'm talking about. work at home on your own. Self work. Find a nice word for it. We're going to hung up on homework. The homework I'd like to give you is every day, can you commit to enough time that you can solve one small chunk of that need? And next week, when you come back, please, everybody come back. It doesn't matter if you didn't succeed 100%. All right. Tell me in the chat, even directly, you don't even have to share it. What were the other things you tried and did to help you meet the legitimate need you have? What were the other things you tried and did as a substitute for wherever you go right now, whatever you do right now that isn't working for you that well? And you may still do those things, but they won't be your default. You will add something that comes from more insight about who you are as a person and what you need as a human being. Don't accept any substitutes. There are no solutions in substitutes. And you deserve what you need. Now I'm going to go to the Ottawa airport with my walking sticks and my little note from my physiotherapist saying she should be allowed to take these things on board. Cross your fingers for me, because I found that at the bottom of my walking sticks, under a lot of rubber, is a tiny little metal thing about this big, which might be a problem.
If it's a problem, probably they will keep them for you at the front of the plane.
Oh, that would be
I
good.
took mine on before, Elaine. I took mine on because I had to go see my daughter, and
Okay.
I left the rubbers on, and I had them folded up and by my, in the suitcase part, like on the outside,
Okay.
and they never said anything.
Excellent.
Is this an American airline?
No.
It's a Canadian airline. Which airline?
Oh, then I'm WestJet, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to try to pass them off as a mobility aid
They are. Absolutely.
because it's referred to in the regulations.
Yeah.
Anyway, cross your fingers for me, because if I put them in the checked bag, they
See them.
I'm trying to have a sense of humor about that. Anyway, it is what it is. I will see you next week, everybody. Take care. And then we're going to be 7 days closer to liftoff.
Yay.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Elaine,
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
I was just going to say that actually, because they were tied to my carry-on, like on the outside, I had them all roped up on the carry-on. Then I think that would have made the difference too, that they don't even really pay attention.
Were
So if
they
you have-
higher? Like, did they collapse enough that they were the same height as the carry-on? Or did
Yeah.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
mine won't go down that much. They're 26 inches collapsed.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just had little buttons on mine, and then they go to, I don't know if it was like this, and then I don't know. Anyways,
I thought if I put them in the bag too, there's a bag for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
want to do though, so that I don't get, one time I was going through an airport coming back from northern Alberta, where I was hired to go out and see a family that were in trouble. And I'm going through Grand Prairie
Mhm.
Airport. All right. And I think they must just have been back from training because
Oh, no.
they wouldn't even let eyeliner in a container that you pulled out, but it had a wet end. They wouldn't even let eyeliner or even the allowable size of moisturizers and whatever. Do you believe that?
Wow.
Mhm. So I just don't want to fall prey to the randomness of somebody who's having a bad day and has a little bit
Right.
of power. Yeah.
Yeah, if they have the rubbers on them on the bottom, they don't even know. Most of them wouldn't even know that they come off. So
Yeah. I don't want to find that out in Brussels.
yes, yes, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
And I've lost 2 more inches so that I'm now 5'1.5". And so I just know that the walking sticks at the lodge, even though they will give them to you for use, they are not going to be the right height. How many people go on gorilla treks who are, who need the sticks and are 5'1.5"?
Mhm.
The other thing, I don't know if you have another minute, but it's like the ones I have here, it's like this. They have this ledge here. Like I got them more because of physio.
Mhm.
And but I got them at Rexall or whatever. And that really helps you like when you're tired too, because
Yeah.
you're pushing on them. So I don't know if yours have those.
It does. It has that, and it has the straps. You put your hand in, then you come down
Yeah.
on those. And that's very helpful other as well, because the physio was telling me that this is not just a kind of a gimmick, that
Yeah.
when you have a 4-point landing,
Yeah.
the relief it get, even though you're not leaning per se on them, you're maybe
Mhm.
steadying yourself or setting a pace, that actually takes a lot of strain off of all of the fulcrum points of your body, your knees, your ankles, your back, your shoulders, yeah.
Well, that's
So
good.
Elaine, one more piece of advice when you're traveling, get yourself one of those little locks to lock your zippers together.
yes,
Not necessarily because of security, but because it forces them to close your zipper shut.
it closes them what?
It forces them to close your zipper. Because I have lost things way out on the tarmac, like disappeared to the ether.
Oh.
Everything. There was this giant gap on the outside pouch of my suitcase where all my jewelry and my hair accessories, everything just went pouring out of there as it was tumbling down the whatever the luggage rail,
Yeah.
and it was out again. So yeah, now you get like those little locks that they have, but they have the keys to unlock them.
Yeah, and I think
You have to put your zipper together to lock it. So
yeah, I've got 3 large bags. I'm only taking one, but 2 of them have the, what do you call it? The rotating number or whatever lock. I don't remember the code.
oh yeah, I'm
been able to make them work even when I do remember the code. Honestly, incapable.
I want the well, no, that's the wrong conclusion. Badly designed.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like.
But in either case, if there's a zipper and those zippers meet together at some
Yeah.
point, that's where you get those little locks because it makes them shut the stupid zipper.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
also zip locks into if you have toiletries, because yeah, you'll end up having them all throughout your luggage. I
know.
brought laundry detergent.
Oh, I do that with
Right.
going to Mississauga as well, just because you just know the toothpaste is going to end all over your dress pants.
Yeah, well, they opened the laundry detergent and they didn't close it properly, and so I had to do laundry when I arrived with my entire load of detergent for the summer.
Oh,
Bubbles.
geez.
Bubbles. I'm going to run now. I have to get to the airport. You take care, and I will see you next week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Is it-